Welcome to the Heidi Thorne Show. I'm your host, Heidi Thorne, and in this podcast, I share my real world self publishing and small business experience with you. So let's get started with today's show. Now, we're going to talk about an author concern that comes up pretty frequently in author forums for self publishing, and it goes something like the the print on demand books that I've gotten through Kindle Direct Publishing look horrible. My customers are getting defective copies. It's ruining my reputation. My image is ruined. They just are very, very upset about the print quality of their print on demand books through KDP. Now, before we get started, first of all, take a deep breath and let's all calm down here. So I'm going to explain some things about print-on-demand technology and printing in general that you should be aware of. Now, I feel competent in talking about that because I used to be a marketing manager that would buy print materials, and these would be big printing jobs that are done on these giant presses that are in commercial facilities. Heck, they're as big as a warehouse ceiling. These presses are just enormous. And so I was involved in not only checking the print on those runs, sometimes it would be in the middle of the night because there would be these 24-hour facilities. Even one job, they shuttled us on a plane out of the area, myself and the marketing team, to check it. And then it was still wrong when it came out done. So, okay. And also, I sold print advertising for over 15 years. And I was the regional ad director and editor, and we always had to be profitable because I, would know about what the print quality was and what our costs were. So I know a lot about costing for print, and so I know that it can have a real impact on revenues. And I've also studied printing technology and graphic arts, even making plates for printing presses as part of our exercises. So I have a kind of pretty well-rounded level of experience with printing technologies. And so I feel competent in discussing it with you and sharing what I know so that you can be calmed down a little bit about what is happening. Now, if you have never seen anything about print-on-demand technology, the machines look like giant photocopy machines, and they're quite a miracle. I am just so impressed with it. And I am going to include some links in the show description about some posts and other things that, other resources that I have that will talk more in depth about print on demand so that you can look at those at your leisure and not while you're listening to this podcast. But it is an automated technology, and it is directly done from the files that you upload to Kindle Direct Publishing. Now, I have found that the results that I've gotten through KDP for print on demand are amazingly good. And I have never, and I've been using KDP for print since probably 2012, and I have not had any problems to date. So I am very, very impressed with the quality that I get, and I think it's a good value for the price. But what I think people get confused about is what quality you can expect from print on demand. Again, it's all automated, so you don't have a lot of people checking it all the time, and there may be variations in the print output. And this is basically caused by a lot of different factors. One of the factors, in fact, a lot of them are environmental. For example, it could be humidity or other climate control factors can have an effect on how the machines actually work. And a lot of people don't realize that, but it can have a huge effect on print output, whether you're talking about print on demand or printing in general. It can have a massive impact on print quality. But overall, I've gotten a really good results. Also, print on demand is not done in one facility for Amazon. It is done in a multitude of facilities, and it's where it gets shipped, produced and shipped from will depend on where the buyer is from. So there's not one facility where they're producing them all and then they're shipping them direct from there. I mean, because they're going to do the one that's closest to the buyer to save on shipping costs and to save on all other costs involved. And that's why they can give you such low prices on your print on demand author copies and give you the royalty level that you're getting. It's amazing. I have just been very impressed with also the pricing that I can get, and the quality I get for that, I think is definitely a good value. Now, I think the biggest problem with this is author expectations. Now, some of them may be looking at books that were produced through traditional publishing and traditional publishers. Now, that's a completely different type of print project. Those are usually done in large quantities, maybe thousands of books, and they have a lot of control over the print output. They have people checking on that. They have proofers. They have all these kinds of services. It's not automated. I mean, a lot of it is automated these days, trust me on that, but it's not completely automated. There's people checking it all along. And because they buy thousands and thousands of copies, they can get extra printing quality due to economies of scale. So what you get for print on demand or POD is a great compromise for what you are spending. And then the expectations are really out of line for a lot of authors because they want to create what I call a trophy book. They want this to be their masterpiece, and they want everybody to behold their masterpiece and that it looks absolutely beautiful. Now, chances are, again, your print quality is probably going to be good. It may not be in line with some authors' very high unrealistic demands. Now, let's just take one aspect of this print quality issue. Now, when you have the book covers done in POD, in print on demand, there's going to be what's called a varnish on the cover, and that is a protective coating to protect the cover from damage. And where it shows up most frequently, what authors are considering damage or scratches is on covers that are almost all black or very, very dark color and solid. Now you can kind of see this is a book that I've handled a lot over the years of one of mine, Business Competitive Advantage, and you can see kind of some, it's not a mirror surface type of coating, but I mean, considering how much I've handled it over the years, I think it's really pretty good. And then I did one, this one's Small Business Failures. I think the quality is great in terms of even for an almost all black cover. And if you're expecting like a super hard mirror finish or super black printing, there's different levels of black. I know you probably don't understand that, but there are different levels of black. There's like super, super, super black, and then there's just warmer shades of black, cooler shades of, it's crazy. So it's a good compromise, and I've been impressed. I mean, if you can see that these are like really pretty good. I mean, considering, I think they're great for a couple bucks. I pay each copy. It's amazing. Now, if you are super, super worried about fingerprints, little scratches, and how it looks over time, you're probably going to want to go with a different type of varnish cover, and that is called the matte coated. And the easiest way to think about that is, when you buy paint for the walls in your house, you can get flat, or you can get semi-gloss or gloss. Well, this would be very similar to flat, or one of those types of things. Now, this one is my book Looking Questions. Well, I wanted it to be a kind of like softer look than my other business books because it's more thoughtful and that sort of thing. And this one is what's called matte coating. Now, you'll notice there's no light reflection on it, and you really don't see any like damage or fingerprints or anything like that. So if you're really super concerned about how, like a shiny versus a matte coated, if you're worried about how the black looks, or, scratches or fingerprints, you probably want to go with a matte coating. So the one complaint that I saw was from an author who was doing a book in the, I think, fashion arena, and it had an almost black cover. When I took a peek at it on Amazon on the little previews, and the complaint was about scratches on the cover and those sorts of things, and I think it's probably due, and that the quality is not there, and it wasn't good for her market. Now that brings up another concept of this, is it may not be appropriate for your market. If you're doing a market, or you're serving a market that demands really high quality, maybe in the arts somewhere, then print on demand may not be your best choice. Then you might have to invest heavily in specialty printing. But in my opinion, since most self-published authors, as we've talked about again and again on this podcast, you're not going to make a lot of money from self-publishing right out of the gate, first of all, and it takes some experience and all those other factors. Why are you going to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on specialty printing? You will never make that back. And then you'll not make any money on this self-publishing project. So I think you have to decide on some compromises for your print quality. Do you want to lose money? Well, fine. If you have that money to burn, then absolutely, you have fun with that. Enjoy the trophy masterpiece book that you've created, and hopefully your market responds in kind with buying your more expensive book, because you will have to charge a lot of money for those specialty printed books because you have a lot of cost on the back end. So that's one thing. Then the other question that comes up is, how are these authors finding out that their books are quote unquote defective? This, I find, is a very curious question. Are they getting reviews on Amazon that say the printing is horrible? I'm going to say probably not. And again, I'm going to say I have never ever had a complaint of that in all the years I've self-published with Kindle Direct Publishing and print on demand. Never had one. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen or can't happen. It does. But you have to remember too that if it is quote unquote defective looking, your customers can say, hey, this isn't good. They can ask for a refund or a replacement, and you have the massive customer support of Amazon's systems to back that up for you. Then the other thing I think may be happening, and which was confirmed in one of my conversations that I jumped into about this type of issue, is the family and friends of the author may be just super, super picky and petty, and they may be just saying, oh, look at this. It's horrible. How can you do this? So that's the other thing that I think may be happening. And there may be people who are just saying the print quality isn't to their expectations because they don't want to really pay for the book. They want to read it, but they don't really want to pay for it. So then they'll just say it's defective, send it back for a return or refund. So I think you have to put it in perspective. And you've got to get your ego out of this situation and quit trying to create a masterpiece if your market doesn't demand it and your budget can't afford it. I mean, let's be realistic about this, and please get your thought and mindset in the right place. I believe that most of the books that you will get through print on demand are of sufficient quality in terms of print quality. And especially for your first rodeo, you probably want to try it out. Like this one too, it has a gloss cover. Again, it still looks really, I mean, everything that I have gotten has been acceptable or better, in my opinion, than I could have even expected. So I would suggest that you try out maybe a small project to get your print technology and knowledge training wheels on, and try it out on a small short book before you invest heavily in something that will be a very expensive print project. Whew. Okay, so sorry for the rant. But I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, I would really, really appreciate it if you would wander over to Apple Podcast and give the Heidi Thorne Show a nice rating and review. And while you're on Apple Podcast, of course, don't forget to subscribe to the Heidi Thorne Show so that you get more knowledge of the self-publishing industry and how you can deal with it. If you're not on Apple, I understand. I'm on Stitcher and Podbean. You can listen to me on the Heidi Thorne Show on your Alexa. You just have to use the AnyPod skill, and you can find the Heidi Thorne Show there. And if you like the video version of the podcast, you can just go to YouTube, go to my Heidi Thorne YouTube channel, and subscribe right there and get the notifications so that you can watch and listen to it there. My books are available on Amazon, of course, and you'll want to go to my Heidi Thorne author page, and all the official editions of my book are there that should be printed correctly. So you want to go to my Heidi Thorne author page, and you'll find my print books, my ebooks, and my audiobooks there. If you'd really rather have the audiobooks, I'm also on Audible and Apple Books. I would really appreciate it if you would share the Heidi Thorne Show with your friends on social media. And if you want to connect with me, my website is very simply HeidiThorne.com. Thank you so much for listening and for your support. I'll look forward to talking with you again in the next episode. And in the meantime, have a great day.